So a lot of times you'll notice the south-facing hillsides in snow country will have less snow on them. The sun constantly beats on the hillside. A lot of times you'll see grass and stuff poking up through the snow, whereas the snow is a lot deeper everywhere else. So one tip, one trick is to put your logs facing the south, and they absorb a lot of sunshine, and the darker color of the logs, it just has a tendency to melt the snow off naturally. It equals an easier life and a lot less shoveling. And so that's one tip, one trick. And also a benefit during the summer months is that the sun bakes the logs and it naturally starts to season them a little bit by that constant exposure to the sunshine. So the second tip that I have for you guys has to do with pine bugs. They're generally harmless bugs that are associated with the pine logs that we use. Again, they're not really a concern or a worry. We don't have termites in our area. It's too cold for termites, is my understanding of it.
When you see sawdust coming out of the carving, it's not the full-grown adult bug. It's just a small larvae that is in the wood at this point.
So these pine bugs, once the wood dries out, typically it's not hospitable for the pine bugs and they go away on their own. But you will occasionally get a little hole as an indication that there's a bug in there. And generally there's a little bit of sawdust or a little bit of dust coming out of the hole. And I used to pour gasoline down the hole to kill the bugs. And that does work, but the gasoline is very offensive. A little bit of gas goes a long ways. And I would stink up the wood shop, and I'd have to leave carvings outside to air out. And what I came to realize is that WD-40 actually works great. It's got a nice straw on the end that you can stick in the hole. It's not offensive smelling. In fact, I kind of like the smell of WD-40. And so again, generally a bug hole will have a little bit of sawdust coming out. And then you just stick the WD-40 in and give it a squirt. And anything that was alive in there before is not going to be now. So another good thing to do is to encourage bird nesting on your property. If you can, encourage the type of birds that eat bugs. That'll help with any bugs associated with the wood. Also, if you have mosquitoes or black flies or horse flies in your area, they eat a lot of those too. In my area, it's phoebes, and so phoebes like to nest up under the eaves if there's a little ledge or a platform. You can see they've built a nest up on top of my light here. The male and female phoebe, I believe, mate for life, and they fly south for the winter. So they actually come back, the same pair come back every year, and they raise their young. And so when the babies hatch, the babies will hang around the woodshop property all summer. So you have the parents and all the babies eating bugs, and it makes a big difference. Typically when the adult pair die or move on, one of the young birds, one of the chicks will kind of take over. There'll be a new pair here. So we've always got phoebes hanging around the wood shop, and we encourage that. So the next tip that I want to give you guys has to do with what's in my bucket. One of the most commonly asked questions on our channel is what's in the bucket. So it's wood preservative, and it's actually CWF UV. It's a flood product. You can get it through Home Depot. It's typically used on decks and log cabins, and I buy it by the 5-gallon bucket because it's cheaper, and then I keep refilling this smaller bucket because it's easier to carry around. And I've been refilling the same bucket for something like 25 years, so that's why it looks the way that it does. And yeah, this just goes on clear, and then it dries to look more kind of like what's on the base there. And so while we're on the topic of carving care, one of the best things you can do for longevity for your carving is to create an airspace. under the carving if the carving is going to be outdoors. So it can be as simple as just putting a couple of blocks of wood under the carving and just creating an airspace and getting it off the ground. What happens is the direct contact with the ground, even if it's dirt or gravel, there's always some moisture there, and the carvings always deteriorate from the bottom up. Sometimes they'll get ants in them if they're sitting right on the ground. So it's one of those little things that I always recommend, whether you're a carving owner or a chainsaw artist. It's just a great thing to do and a great thing to recommend to your customers. A lot of people won't do it. They won't take that extra little bit of time. But over the long term, it's not just a subtle difference in the longevity of the carving. It really adds a lot of years to the life. You could screw pressure treated blocks to the bottom of the carving. You could do any number of things, right up to pouring concrete with threaded rod and some elaborate system of suspending the carving. So the last tip I have for you guys is to believe in yourself. And when I first started carving, my carvings weren't so good. And if I'm honest, I'm a work in progress. I'm constantly learning and growing. That's the beauty of what we do. No matter how long you've been carving or how talented you are, I don't think you ever arrive as far as artistic endeavor. There's always room to grow and learn. And so I would just recommend that you believe in yourself. When I first started carving, my carvings weren't so good. And with perseverance, I've grown, and you will too. I know that when I first started, I looked at other carvers and I thought that the level they were working on was unobtainable. And I've since surpassed levels that I thought were unobtainable for myself. I know that I still have a long ways to go, and it's a journey and it's a lot of fun. So I just would encourage you to be persistent. The same is true for you. If you stick with it and you keep working at it, you're going to be amazed at how your talent develops. And so that's the last tip that I have for you is keep persevering and believe in yourself. You can do it.